Okay, so welcome all. I really enjoyed the film. I watched two times, and that final scene, wow, really touching, impressive, yeah, with your amazing performance. I would say I found memory and remembrance as a central theme of your film. And I want to ask how you reflect these ideas through your visual style and editing, because I'm aware you are do editing as well. Yeah.
So, memory and remembrance through my visual style, how do I reflect it? I mean, I think it was really important for me to work with someone who reflected Kathleen Parlow and her values. And when I heard about María Dueñas, it was very clear to me that if we were like looking for someone to put Kathleen Parlow's biography together, she was the perfect person to do it. And I think with Maria's biography and Kathleen's, there were so many incredible things in common. María at that time was playing on a Guarnerius del Jesu that was made in 1736, and Kathleen played on one that was made in 1735. María had her debut in San Francisco, so did Kathleen. Maria's mom makes a lot of her amazing performance dresses, and so did Kathleen's mother, Minnie. So in terms of remembrance and nostalgia, if there's someone who can really carry the torch for Kathleen Parlow, the choice was very clear. It was María Dueñas. So I feel like in terms of someone's clapping, you can clap more if you want. Please. So I think through Maria's performance, I think you can really feel memory and the passage of time reflected, because I think she's really channeling Kathleen in her performance. And I remember you told me, María, after the performance, because we worked really hard with our costume designer, Mara Ziegler, to get María to wear something that Kathleen would have worn. And we kind of like broke all the rules as well. Usually María plays with a dress without straps, so her arms can be free. So we were kind of like breaking all of the rules. You don't pin your hair up like that when you play, but you did it to kind of bring Kathleen back to life. But I remember after the performance, you said that you felt like someone was standing beside you.
Yeah, María, we are very happy to have you here tonight. Please tell me how you engaged to this project.
Well, good evening, everyone, first of all.
The mic is working?
Yeah?
No?
No? Here. Okay. Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you. So, yes, I first encountered Sofia online, actually, because it was COVID time, pandemic time back then. And I remember the first time I heard about this film was when my manager told me about it, because you contacted him, and Sofia said to him, we are very interested in this project and we would like to have María on board for this project. So yes, in the beginning I said, okay, it sounds interesting, but I need to know more. And then I remember she sent my manager and me the script of the film, and I was okay, I will take a look at it and I will see if, and of course also I listened to the HALBWISSEN concerto and I was really impressed by the music. So for sure the first thing that really mesmerized me was the music. But then when I read the script, I remember it was a quite busy afternoon, and I said I will just read some pages, but then I couldn't stop reading the whole thing. It took me some hours, but I couldn't stop reading. And yeah, it was a very natural attraction to me. It was very clear to me that I wanted to make this.
Yeah, you did a great job. Yeah, really. And Charlotte, welcome. We are happy to have you as well. Your title and poster designer.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
and how you engaged to this project.
Well, also online.
Okay. You are very active in online.
Well, it was also.
I have a lot of internet friends.
Yeah. Okay. Later, let me know about your apps. Maybe it works for me as.
Sure,
yeah. Please. Yeah.
So your producer actually wrote me an email asking if I would be interested. And
please take the mic like this.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that much of your other work, and and once I started like looking into also your older projects and so on, I was just very, very impressed and taken by it, and I was completely on board. And then, of course, you also sent me like an older version that wasn't graded yet, that didn't have sound yet. And this is actually the first time I saw it like completely finished, which was very, very moving to me, because like being like part of a journey, like it's just like, so like when you all see it then come together on a big screen, it's just so wonderful. But yeah, it was online. It was really casual in the beginning.
Okay.
But yeah, it worked out really well. And I think our collaboration went really well, yeah.
And how you find the idea for the poster and the title?
It's mostly, it always comes together like by talking mostly with the filmmaker and like just, finding different references, but also just like, what inspired you, like also, or what has inspired you like from the past, but also just like finding themes and ideas in the film that we want to represent in the visuals. And sometimes it can be like so subtle that maybe it's not really visible at the first time, but the way that we talk about it is like quite nerdy also, but it's
we had a lot of nerdy chats.
Yeah. But it's but yeah, in the end it's just those like subtle details that like really make it special in the end. Yeah.
Like your F in the 4 that looks like an
like
F
the
hole,
F hole,
which
yeah.
is really beautiful. And then the credits at the end, they kind of remind me of like sheet music or like a score. And what I found to be so moving about your design is that like intuitively, like you nailed it. You didn't do like many versions of the title or the font. Like I feel like intuitively you knew.
But that's mostly down to just communicating with like the filmmaker, and sometimes it works really well, like this time, and then it just goes really easily. Yeah,
thank you. And Sofia, the film engaged somehow to feminist aspect as well. I mean, I just note particularly regarding forgotten female artists. I want to ask, is this important aspect of your filmmaking?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, uncovering the lives of elderly matriarchs has always been like a big passion for me. It started in my first film, Never Eat Alone, where I was trying to reconnect my grandmother with a long-lost love from her 20s. And I really wanted to talk about, I guess, like the amazing labor that she did to keep my family together, but also kind of recover her career as an actress. I discovered she was an actress and she had hidden it from my family for many, many years. And I discovered all these incredible archival videos of her singing on television, and she'd never told us. So there are so many, I think, layers and fascinating facets of the lives of women that we ignore. And then from there, I focused on the life and poetry of my great-grandmother, Sofia Bohdanowicz, who's an incredible published poet whose work wasn't as well known. So I decided to kind of uncover more of her work in a film called MS Slavic 7. And in my film, Point and Line to Plane, I talk a little bit about Hima of Clint as well. But I think aside from being, a woman, I think Kathleen Parlow is just such an incredible personality, figure, had so many incredible, I think, stories from her life. And I think that this film is only the beginning. I feel like it only scratches the surface in terms of who she was, what her life was. And for me as well, the reason why the film has so many details about her life, why there are so many facets, narration, archival materials, is because I find that sometimes a film uses like a historical character as like a vessel just to like have an excuse for like a film to exist. But it really needed to be about her. It really needed to speak about her, which is why we went to, I guess, like a lot of the locations that were real and true to her biography. Like we shot in the Edward Johnson Music Library where the score Opus 28 was actually discovered. We actually filmed in that room. And the house that you see in Meldreth is actually Kathleen Parlow's home.
I have a question for you, María. I found the violin as a character itself in the movie. How you characterize the violin in this movie. How was the process for you?
Well, yes, every violin has a different character, a different soul for sure. So I think it's a very personal thing because the violin grows with the artist. So a violin will never sound the same in different hands. So for me, it was also a very interesting discovery process while learning HALBWISSEN concerto because especially since it was so rarely played, I didn't have a lot of kind of influences in my mind on how the music should sound. So I was really free to kind of work on my own ideas. And I think the violin gives so many colors and so many possibilities in order to, just to make all your needs come true, so to say. And I was really fascinated about the fact that the music is so much about violin in general and about music, and it's not just like a small part or it's really like the center piece of the movie. And so it was, I really appreciated that Sofia was like so interested in making it as musical as possible. Yeah.
Great, because in the history of cinema, we read many interviews from the big names, like, for example, cameraman Estraro. He said, I have like emotional connection with my camera, like you with your violin. And we see this emotional connection in a very good and a smart way in the movie, and that really improved the theme of the movie. So maybe my last question, because we have very limited time for Q&A, sorry. As I mentioned in the introduction, you are really good in blurring the line between fiction and documentary. And how you shape this figure in your movie? No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there were many versions of the film, many versions of the script. But for me, it always comes with like a real life connection. So part of writing the script was actually going to St. Petersburg because the third act of this film was actually supposed to be shot in Russia. Because Kathleen Parlow attended the St. Petersburg Music Conservatory and studied with Leopold Auer, I needed to find a violin teacher who studied Auer's method. So I went to St. Petersburg and I spent a week with him, watching him teach students, go through violin lessons, go through the motions, interviewing him. So this incredible violinist named Shingiz Osmanov, and he was the first violinist of the St. Petersburg Orchestra, but fled during the war and now lives in Turkey. He is the character of Misha in the film. And our conversations weren't exactly the ones that he had, that Misha has with Audrey on screen, but it was a way for me, I guess, to kind of start like formulating those ideas because I really wanted, again, to put Kathleen Parlow's life back together. So it was important for me to really tether it and to, I guess, like bring the world into the film for there to be something living in it. And it was the same thing for the character of Joan. So Joan from Meldreth's Historical Society is actually a real person. And she was a person that I encountered when Dara and I were doing research in Meldreth. And I did a bunch of interviews with her, and a lot of our conversations and actually the tour that she gave us of Meldreth ended up in the film. But I think most of all, what was really important and what's great about having María here is that we can talk about the concert, which was actually a live event. And it was important for me for that live event to be incorporated in the film because it was the first time that it had been performed in Canada. And I think the production of Mounting Opus 28 took like many, many forces to come together. It was a combination of Maria's strong will, of Yannick Nézet-Séguin, who also has this incredible habit of bringing out like old archival pieces of music out and having them performed, and really also Maison Symphonique and Deutsche Grammophon, who really kind of joined forces to make this moment happen. But for us, it was really important to have like a real live full concert captured in the film. So we actually had 7 different cameras hidden in the auditorium. And we filmed the rehearsal during the day, but also we filmed the full performance at night. So what you see is very true to the moment. So while it's a film that's shot in 235, that has like a very cinematic form, there are things that are, I think, pulled and tethered from Kathleen Parlow's life, but also a lot of my experiences of researching. So I hope that those things are felt.
Yeah, thank you. And Charlotte, have you ever tried to make a kind of combination between typography in a title and, as we see in a poster, with like a musical partiture or something like that?
How I make the connection?
Yeah.
Well, as you can see in the film, it's like I really try to sort of like get the musicality into the titles, but not in a like super like obvious way, but more like, you know, like the spacing of the letters, like make you read it in a certain tempo, like the way the placement is makes your eyes follow it differently on the screen, and even like the slight animation in the beginning of the title is like it's kind of uneasy, and it feels like and it feels very similar to that like disorienting sort of moment in the beginning, when the images move. So that was, you know, all part of that idea of like having that musicality and the sheet music in it, and then also in the poster, which you can't see right now, but it's also like that part is also very much in it. Like it uses like the same sort of typographical rules that we set up for it, and it has like a lot of like the use of hands in it. Like basically like there's like lines on it that like have, you know, like basically, you know, playing the violin, and also like there's so much like movement in the hands, and we really wanted to capture that also in the visuals of the poster.
Okay, as we just have 3 minutes left.
What do we say?
Sofia, do you have any, are you working on a project right now, or do you have any upcoming project?
Yeah, I have a few things on the go. I have a couple of short films that I'm trying to finish, a new film that I'm writing that might take place in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I'm taking a little bit of a rest. I'm taking a little bit of a break.
Amazing. But I really enjoy directing a silent mise-en-scène. It reminds me that term from Alexander Ostruk, like the camera as a pen, and you dance with the camera, specifically in the last scene. You know, that was super brave scene. I mean, how much you can be that brave to keep the camera as a subjective look and just watch a concert and bring the audience as a part of the scene.
Well, I think that also like came through Maria's generosity and flexibility, and having like a Steadicam operator run around her while she was playing an extremely difficult piece of music. And I don't think that kind of like dancing around with the camera can be achieved if you're not working with an immensely talented, assured person. It was really amazing how generous you were in letting us film the rehearsal, different kind of dress, different kind of hairdo. We broke all of the rules. But I really feel like that was achieved because you were open to it. But also, too, we had this incredible Steadicam operator named Benoit Gauthier, who I have to mention, who just also, I feel like, carried the weight of Audrey's journey with his body. I feel like he kind of embodies the ghost of Kathleen, and these like floating moments were achieved because he had such great chemistry with the people that we were filming with. I don't know if you want to add something about the experience of being filmed
definitely.
for the concert.
I mean, I was just obviously just like, you know, a small part of the filming, but yeah, for me it was like so much work, and also such a different way of working than in the musical world. It's really like such a different world. And yeah, just the attention to detail, really, I was so impressed. And yeah, I feel like you all kind of integrated yourself so well into the music, into the concert, which is probably not something you do every day, maybe in this business. So I really appreciated your will to really make music as present as possible and in a very respectful way. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Because we have to, yeah.
Well, the last thing I was just going to say, I'll say it very quickly, but I appreciate what you said and I forgot to say this in my introduction, but this film is really for musicians, you know? It's for musicians like María, who sacrifice everything to bring such incredible music, I think, to our ears, you know? So for us, it was really, really important, I think, to respect the musicality, for it to be as true to life as possible, which is why we work so hard with Shingiz, but also María gave us a lot of input, I think, to bring all of those aspects
Amazing.
to life.
And yeah, that's great.
You really want to finish.
Sorry, because I'm aware they want to do a debate.
It's time.
Yeah.
We have some amazing panelists tonight.
Yes, of course, you will see. And as you learn, if you want to work with Sofia, you should write him online, you know, because as our colleague did.
You can find me on the apps.
Yeah, thank you very much, María, Charlotte, and Sofia. Thank you so much. Please stay with us with the debate.
And thank you to Sonya, Valerie, and Barbara for agreeing to do this incredible panel that you will hear shortly.
Sure.
Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. And thank you very much again, Sofia, for allowing us to follow up with a different format. We are very excited how this will turn out. So one of the missions of Critics Week is to explore different ways of engaging with films and also different ways of discussing cinema. So tonight we are exploring a new format which we have invented just for you to enjoy. And it's based on the idea of having a moderator who has not seen the film and also doesn't know the guests who will be on stage with him. So it will be our collective task of sharing our knowledge with him to help him understand what kind of film we have just seen and maybe also our position to it. So I'm very, very happy to welcome a very good friend of Berlin Critics Week, Nino Klingler, who has moderated over the years several debates at Critics Week. Come on. And hi, Nino. And who is adventurous enough to do this. I'm so happy that you are open to this, and I wish you a wonderful experience and good luck.
Thank you very much. Do I sit wherever I want to sit? Yeah. Is that okay? I'm going to sit here. Yeah, okay. You just had a film, 20 minutes at least of Q&A. I think the film also started late. I hope you still, have energy. If you don't, this is an experiment. Don't feel bad. You can just leave. No problem. We will see how it goes. Where's my panel? I don't know my panel. Welcome. Please come here. Big round of applause to the people I will get to know. Hello. So I told a friend of mine what I'm going to do tonight. I told her, okay, I'm going to moderate a panel. I won't have seen the film. I don't know what the panel is about, and I don't know the guests. And her immediate answer was, "That's a nightmare. That's my nightmare scenario. You're put on stage, and you have to perform, but you don't know what it is about. So let's see how it goes."
But you are dressed.
I'm dressed. Exactly. That was
at least.
That was exactly my response. At least I won't be naked. I hope. I tried my best not to. So it's nice to see you. Let's see how it goes. I want to say that I really took it seriously. I avoided to any kind of knowledge about the film. I mean, I know a lot of people in the Critics Week circle. I tried avoiding watching the trailer because there were clips of the film. I didn't read the newsletters, so I can safely say I don't know anything about nothing. I don't know who the director is. I don't know who you are. So let's maybe start here. Maybe I will start. My name is Nino Klingler. I have been writing about film, and I have also made some films myself, and I have been loosely associated with the Critics Week over the last 11 years, I think, almost since the beginning. And now I will start. Who are you?
Hi, is it working? Yes. Hello, my name is Sonya Vseliubska. I'm a Ukrainian film critic. Well, I'm living in London right now, but I'm working remotely for Ukraine. I'm a staff writer for Ukrainska Pravda. This is the biggest publication, online magazine in Ukraine. But internationally, you can read me writing about Ukrainian war documentaries. That's what I mostly do in my work.
Okay, wow. Nice to have you here. Since when have you been in London?
Almost 2 years, I think. Yeah.
Directly after the invasion? Or when did
No,
you go
I used to live in Berlin for a bit and in Hamburg as well. So yeah, quite traveled.
Why did you quit Berlin and Hamburg?
I hate Berlin.
Thank
so
you very
sorry.
much. Yeah, I can totally relate to it.
Trying to be honest.
But are you happy to be back, or can't you wait to
be
go back
no,
to
it's
London?
all right. You know, like once a year for a week, it's more than enough. Yeah.
Okay, like having you sitting next to me, I would directly skip talking about films and like wanting to know how you feel. But yeah, let's do it like this. How do you feel right now?
How do I feel right now? No, I'm excited because this film is absolutely incredible. Because once people invited me for this panel, I was like, "What do I even do?" Because I mostly write about war documentaries, and there's some art house masterpiece, and I'm like, "What's the deal?" And then now I realized, and we will talk about it in a bit.
So you have to interfere if I'm setting the wrong emotional tone, because I really don't know anything about the film, and maybe it's not a light-hearted film that you watched. Since this is more like an experimental or joyful panel format, but I don't really don't know. I don't want to like set the wrong tone or anything like so.
No,
please
I think
feel
it's
free.
all right. I think it's all right. This is.
I don't want you to feel uncomfortable or anything. Okay.
It's not an easy film, absolutely, but at the same time, I'm working with very heavy subject, as I said, war documentaries.
Yes.
And you have to better take it easily, So this is all right with me.
Okay. Maybe lastly, a little bit for me to imagine what your life looks like. Do you work from home a lot, or are you part of like an office? Do you like collectively organize, or are you mostly?
No, I'm living in London. I'm also studying in university. I'm always forgetting to say
what are you
about
studying?
this film studies.
Film studies?
Yes, academia. I'm also from this world of the film.
I studied film studies.
Of course you did.
So you okay.
Sorry, I'm starting stand-up here.
No, it's nice. We also we have water and something that looks dark and full of alcohol. So whoever wants to drink something, feel free.
It's rum, I think.
It's rum, you think? Do you want to drink some rum?
No, I have a beer here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hi.
Who are you?
I'm Valerie Dirk. I'm a film critic based
Sorry,
in...
I
Valerie?
Valerie?
Dirk. I'm a film critic based in Vienna, Austria. I write for Der Standard, which is a kind of big Austrian
They just
newspaper.
discovered that the AfD was supported illegally through Austrian bribes.
Today, I didn't read the news today. I'm sorry. I'm just in this Berlinale like fever dream, kind of, and I'm quite tired. I have to admit, because I like watched 3 movies every day and covered the competition. So
are you a film critic too, or in what capacity do you cover?
I'm a film critic.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of in charge of the film department of my newspaper.
Of the Standard?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And very like. I think today I will ask very stupid questions. Questions that are often frowned upon at Critics Week, very generalizing questions. You can question my questions, but I really, want to embrace my ignorance. So how was Berlinale for you?
It was, well, someone was laughing. It was great for me, to be honest. Yeah, because I'm kind of new to this job. I went to university before, and I did my doctorate. I didn't finish it, but I was in academia before. And since for like 3 years, I'm covering festivals. And I didn't like the Chatrian Berlinale very much, because I thought he was neglecting the competition. And that's what I have to watch. And that's a problem. And I think Trisha Tuttle kind of poured more heart into it. She featured more women filmmakers. She featured, yeah. She featured also strong female leads, and I thought the competition was quite good. Maybe not like exceptional, but it was very solid and quite interesting. Yeah.
Okay. So, are you gonna write a recap or for the whole?
I already did.
You already did?
Yeah.
Is it
I'm
already
finished.
online? Or
Yeah. No, tomorrow morning.
tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
And of course, now I'm gonna make a very stupid thing. But do you have any guesses who will win the golden beer? Is that something that you are asked?
Well, my guesses are always wrong.
Your guesses are always
Yeah,
wrong,
and at
and you
every
cannot
festival.
strategically guess against yourself.
Well, I kind of guess Michel Franco's Dream is a strong candidate. Dreams.
No, you disagree. Okay.
I really enjoyed it. Well, that's good, but
Now we have a debate. We already have a debate. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to our conversation. If I can continue, who are you?
I'm Barbara Morgenstern. And
Hello, Barbara.
I'm a musician. I live in Berlin. I started here in the middle of the 90s and was an electronic musician. And I sang along with this. I was composing. I was touring a lot. And after touring a lot, I was tired of touring a lot. And then I was asked, luckily, to run a choir at the House of World Cultures.
Haus der Kulturen der Welt?
Haus der Kulturen der Welt, genau. So I did a choir there for over 15 years.
How can I imagine a choir at HKW? Is it like a church choir or like a big choir?
No. It's the idea was that the choir is different to other choirs. So it was just an experimental choir. So we did everything like pop, modern classic. We worked a lot with the people coming to the House of World Cultures. So a lot of collaborations. And can I already refer to the film?
Can I ask you not to? Maybe.
Not yet.
But
it was.
I think it will have something to do with music. But
yes. I found some.
Now, come on. We no rules. Yeah, refer to the film.
Yeah?
Of course. Should.
But
if I could.
So there were a lot of festivals in the House of Work Cultures, and one festival was called Singing War. And
Singing War.
So several aspects of musics in war were brought on stage. And for this project, I went to the Berlin Lautarchiv, and they have a lot of Wachswalzen. Wie heißt es denn? So they have a lot of recordings from prisoners from the war, collected by.
The very early ones from the First World War?
Yeah, First World War. And it's
incredible. Schäffner made a movie about it. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. And the, was heißt es nochmal? Sprachwissenschaftler.
The linguists.
The linguists just went to the prisoners' camps, and they said, okay, the people are here, and why not record them?
Okay.
And you can hear these recordings. And I did one project where we used these recordings and brought them back on stage and sang along to these recordings. And yeah, that kind of really reminded me what was going on.
What was going on? What I don't know anything about.
Yeah, genau. And after I did the choir, and parallel to the choir, I'm performing as part of the Rimini Protocol theater group, and I have the big luck to be on stage sometimes and be able to compose. And I also composed for 16 people orchestra. So yeah.
I have a practical question and a dangerously big question to you before we dive into the film that I don't know. we have two professional film critics here. Can I ask you about your relationship to film? Is it something that you do in your free time? Is it something that you have a professional relationship to? Do you watch a lot of films? Just for me, a little bit to understand from which perspective you are talking
why
about
am
film.
I here? Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the reason is because a documentary is being screened in May, and it was made by Sabine Herpich about the process of my last album, and I worked with violin, cello, double bass, me on the piano, drums, and she filmed and documented all the process. And this film is finished, and it's about showing the process of the work. And I guess that's why I'm
And
here.
now the dangerously big question.
Yes.
You just casually said that you worked as an electronic musician in the 90s in Berlin.
Yes.
And now we heard that someone hates Berlin. So I just make a very brief question. Do you still like Berlin?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. Do you still recognize Berlin?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I mean,
You can like
it's this old.
Yes,
Back in the 90s, it was also romantic and so. And lately, I played with Tarwater. I don't know if you know them. They were really famous in the 90s, friends of mine and so. And when we listened to it and played with it, so a whole world appeared, like all these illegal bars, and yeah, it was a great time. And when I started here in Berlin, we performed in living rooms, and it was super 1-to-1. This is.
So it was
gone, sadly, but there are other aspects. Yeah.
And are you originally from Berlin? Or
No.
Okay.
I'm from. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
nice to be on a
Yeah.
panel with you. I hope that you are also looking forward to this experiment.
Yes, yes.
I thought I did take some notes. So I came willfully unprepared, or like preparedly unprepared. And I thought that I will just, in order to approach the film that I don't know, ask some basic questions. And you can also question the questions that I'm asking. So was it a live action or an animation film? Any of you can be a yes or no.
Easy. Live action. Yeah.
Was it narrative or non-narrative?
Very much narrative.
Very much narrative?
Very much narrative.
Was it a fiction film or not a documentary film?
It's both.
It's both?
Yes, it's both.
Oh, that's interesting. And there were dialogues or there were no dialogues?
A lot of dialogue.
A lot of dialogues.
No, I mean, in comparison to other films of Sofia Bohdanowicz, I would say there is more.
Ah, who was the director of the film?
Sofia Bohdanowicz.
Wonderful. She already got a round of applause, I think. Otherwise,
Yes.
It's great. Okay. Thank you very much. So we have a very narrative, both fiction and documentary, live action, dialogue heavy film. Would you say that the film adheres to a genre tradition? No?
No, not particularly.
No?
Someone said yes. Maybe the audience want to join in.
Yes? A ghost story?
Yeah, but not a classic ghost story in a genre sense.
Okay. I'm trying to form an image. So, if I may start, what do you think about spoiler-free texts or talks? So I was thinking a lot about, I don't know anything about the film, and I know I'm always thinking about the spoiler-free thing. I understand it. You don't want to give spoilers because you don't want to take away the experience of experiencing something for the first time. So if I still want to watch the film, if I take myself into the position, and that's a position that I as a critique was often more or less inclined to take, to write about a film without spoiling something essential about it in order to allow the readers to experience it themselves. So it was always a mixture of giving information and withholding information to a certain degree. So if we might be in a spoiler-free space for the time being, could you please, and I might start with you, try to describe me what the film was about?
Oh, it's a lot.
Please.
Why me? Oh, well, there is a girl.
There is a girl.
There is a girl, Aubrey. She's doing her master's thesis. And she's researching the violinist Catherine Powell. And she used to work, and she has an incredible career, but her career was interrupted by war, like 1 century ago almost.
1 century ago?
Yes.
Mhm.
And she is doing her
It's a
research.
period picture?
What do you mean by
Like that it's set in the past time?
No, it's not a set in
Okay.
the past.
Mhm.
She's doing her research currently in Montreal, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. Yeah, and she is a pretty strange girl because she's insanely obsessed with her research subject. Let's say.
How
Yes.
what do you mean by strangely
She
obsessed?
is lives this. She's let's say living the life of Catherine Powell. She's just going archives and just trying to survive. Trying to reincarnate her life. Let's say her this ghost subject.
This Catherine?
Yes.
She was a violinist?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, very, very successful, but something happened to her.
Mhm.
Yes, and this is the subject of her master thesis.
And does the movie treat it like we as the audience don't know what happened to Catherine and we find out over the course of the film?
Somewhat, yes.
Yeah?
I mean, Sofia, she gives some, in the beginning of the film, some shots of the real archives, so you can basically pause the film and read something. But yeah, this is somewhat of the path that you go through with the main character, Aubrey.
Thank you. Do you want to add something to this summary?
Yeah, I didn't feel that something is happening to Kathleen, I think her name is, to the violinist.
That's the protagonist of the film?
No, the violinist.
Okay. Mhm.
The protagonist is Audrey. And also Audrey is dealing with her sick mother who's dying.
Mhm.
And this kind of plays into her research. And also the violinist, my God, has some connection via her granddad with Audrey. So there's kind of a biographical connection between Audrey and her research topic.
And Audrey, is she what kind of a character is she? Is she a driven character? Is she what's driving her? What do we feel about with her?
She's so stoic.
She's stoic.
Yeah, she's closed up.
She's closed up.
She's
How does it manifest?
Not easy to read.
With her facial expression,
Yes,
like yeah?
yes. She's grieving. She's grieving a lot, and she's unreadable, kind of. Yeah. And to me, what was really important was the main question. So seen from the point of a musician, there were aspects where they say in the conversations, if you want to bring it to a certain excellence in music, you have to sacrifice love, meaning love in a relationship or love to your children.
So you have to sacrifice your private life.
Private life,
Mhm.
exactly.
Mhm.
And what was bothering me a lot was the question: is that necessarily so? Yeah, or what does it mean in the life of a classical musician if you are going to this super high level? Yeah, what do you sacrifice? And then Audrey's mother, she wanted to become a violinist.
The sick mother?
The sick mother.
Uh-huh.
And she didn't. And Audrey says it's because she was not happy while playing the violin. But the mother says to her, yeah, that was because of you. That's because you were born.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
so
and
she sacrificed her career.
She says she sacrifices her career, and I'm a mother of a daughter too. So this bothered me a lot, because this having a career, what does it mean being a musician? And then there was one moment in the film where she said, when they went to the old house where Kathleen Parlow was living, and then they said, yeah, this was the studio of Kathleen Parlow, and there she was really, she had her time, and it was quiet, and it was away from all the other people in the house, so she could practice in silence. Yeah, and this is always what I want. I want to practice in silence. So this talked a lot to me.
Like,
Yes,
2 days ago, I watched the film Autumn Sonata by Ingmar Bergman for like the third time. Does this film, if one of you knows it, are there resemblances? Because it's a mother-daughter sort of story?
Have some disconnection of mother and daughter, and this obsession is, the devotion for children and also the constant blame.
The question of can you be a mother and a professional musician at the same time? And the torture
no, it's not. This is not legion subject of the film. If you can be a mother, or this is the legion, like the canonic object of the mother, but still this may be a problem, and that you can hate your own mother because she devoted her own life for you because of for the career instead of you. So this is kind of this internal circle of pain.
I'm already starting to be curious about the spoilers, but we will get there. Do you want to add something?
Well,
María?
yeah, I think the film doesn't depend on spoilers.
Okay,
it's a
that's
film
good.
you can watch. We can tell you everything that happens, and you have your own experience by watching it. So, I mean, the mother dies in the end.
The mother dies in the end.
What a surprise!
And does she find happiness is maybe not the right word, but some sense of resolution in her research and in her work? How does that play out?
I think that's so beautiful as someone who has started a dissertation, because her research ends up in a concert. And
she's giving a concert? Or?
No, she's kind of discovering an old work of music.
Opus 28.
Yeah, some kind of opus 20. I don't remember the name of the opus, but she's discovering this, and then she brings it on stage with a violinist who's as talented and charismatic as the one she's researching. And that's very beautifully shot in the end of the film. And Sofia, the director, shoots the whole concert.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why.
So it's a very long ending scene.
Yes,
yeah?
but that was amazing, wasn't it? Because you are not no longer watching a film, but you become the part of the concert audience.
So I'm from the perspective of the audience.
Of the audience, yeah, and you really sink into the concert. And normally in music films, you see the music and it's 1.5, 2 minutes, but here it's fully played.
I was waiting for the cuts.
Ne?
But the cuts didn't
So can you, because I'm curious, can you explain it to me visually? The camera is in a fixed position with the audience, or where are we when we watch it?
A couple of positions of the camera. I read in press notes they were filming on Alexa cameras.
Uh-huh.
So the image is very rich and very digital and very beautiful. It's very celebrationary. I would say maybe 5 camera position roughly, more or less. Yeah, but mostly from the perspective of the audience, and also that she gives the shots on Audrey that she's sitting on kind of one of the roles.
Yeah. There's one long moment where the camera sits in the audience, and it's quite like without a cut, quite a long shot. That's very interesting because that's a moment where I fell into the concert scene. And there are other shots that show the violinist in a close-up and her expressions. And there are other shots showing the violin being burned.
Being burned?
Yes.
Is it like an unrealistic kind of montage, or is it at another moment in the film?
It's a classic parallel montage.
It's a parallel montage?
Because films opens with a very incredible scene, by the way. It was levitating camera with Aubrey.
That's the first shot you're talking about?
First, like opening scene, so it's kind of sort of elliptical structure, but at the same time it's different.
Okay. So the movie ends where it begins.
No, it's not ends where it begins, but it's kind of gives an exact summary where it started, because there is mom called Audrey, and we hear the voiceover, and she's like, "Audrey, I need you to burn my body along with the violin."
Okay.
And this violin, was the violin of the Catherine, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
The violin is of the.
And what's something we missed, that she's always carrying this violin, and she going cities. She's doing her research in the United Kingdom, in Norway. and in Canada, and she always going with this violin together.
Does she play the violin?
No,
Never.
and that's the paradox of the film. This for me personally, this film was about the academic paradox. That you kind of, from the perspective of when you study in arts, because you're kind of dealing with arts,
But you don't practice it yourself.
Exactly. So you keep with yourself this, emotional overwhelm, and you cannot express it. And this is very painful, and it's something I can really relate.
Sorry, do you want to say something?
I wanted to ask the audience if they have something to add. Yeah.
Yes, please. But you have to wait for a microphone, I think, because there is a recording.
I have a big question, which I would have liked to ask the director, and I wonder if I'm the only one who didn't understand.
There she is.
Yeah, we are free here. Ask her.
Yes, I didn't want to. I was out there, but I didn't want to disturb you. So I have two questions about the violin. You see, that's just a story question. You see that Audrey puts the violin in front of the hotel room, and you see it should be the violin which she plays then in the concert, and then you see the violin burning. So that's one thing. But the other thing, which really astonished me, because I followed the film and I liked it, but then I really didn't understand why she wanted to destroy the violin, which represented the closest connection to the violin player. And I really couldn't believe it,
No?
even if the mother wanted to have the violin destroyed. But you see in the film that she wanted to take a distance to her mother, but that was something I didn't understand at all. But I liked the film very much.
But I think this is a wonderful question not to ask to the director, but how did you read this? Sure.
I understood it. I found it super, super interesting as well. And I understood that Audrey wanted to overcome this unfulfilled wish she was still obsessed with the unfulfilled wish of her mother becoming a violinist. And for me, this was about healing. So I want to get rid of this. I don't want to have this burden to be a violinist. And she couldn't. She couldn't crash it. And
her direct connection to her idol, the violinist. She's
it made her
researching
somehow
for
sick
years.
Please.
Well, I remember the mother saying in the beginning that she should burn the violin in case she dies. So I think she tries to destroy the violin as soon as she hears of the death of her mother, but she can't. And she chooses another way out, and that's the concert, which is a healing process. And in the end, the burning violin is kind of a metaphor for the death of her mother and the burning of the body of her mother. So that's what I understood, but maybe the filmmaker.
I think that's probably what it is, but for me personally, it was classical process of studying in academia and doing some research, That you just eventually then they just hate your subject and you want to destroy it and erase it from your life. That's it.
So you are. That's a good position to be a film critic.
But it's honest. It's honest.
But film criticism is so direct and fast, not like academia. Like 6 years of research. I mean, this film was kind of academic too.
But that's if I remember correctly, there was a guy in the circle of Goethe and Schiller who never really wrote anything. And Schiller once said about him, I'm quoting really from memory, is that he was a genius at reading. Do you think, because you're talking about the pain of academia, is there also like a poetry in like reception and a poetry in reading? Okay, you cannot create And it's maybe something that is burning inside of you. But can there be like a real joy in having a super deep understanding and feeling about something that other people created?
I think it's possible only in the way what we particularly see in the film of Sofia Bohdanowicz here, because for me, this film
High praise.
Yes, it is about that's how ideal academic research should look like. It might sound violent because who's seen the film, but I think for me it's about, because in academia, if you're taking some research subject, it's better be something deeply personal and connected to you. This was the main hero does, because it's connected to your own family history. Because you're gonna live someone else's life, right? You're gonna spend a lot of time in just delving into some archives of something, will never be back practically. Physical life. So, but and she just made the smart decision to just not just to do something important, not just something that interests her, but maybe something with the help of which she can sort her own life, which is her problems with her mother.
Okay. I wanted to ask, so the thing is that we are coming to a close because it has been a very long evening and I don't want to overextend it, but there is something that I would love to ask each of you. And maybe it's already the scene that you described, but if you could pick one scene from the film that you just watched and maybe describe it to me and tell me why, maybe a scene that you think might stick with you. Because often I realize that the connection that I form with films, and when people enthusiastically talk about films, it's often about something very specific and something maybe even mundane or small. So maybe I start with you. Is there a scene that you would like to point out?
Literally last shot of the film.
The last shot? Can you describe it to me?
This concert was this incredible concert. And this her work this year, so her job, and it's suddenly gone. And we just finished. Yeah, we played the concert.
Okay.
And this camera gives a shot on the Aubrey, and she's sitting in the empty room.
That's the last image we see of the film. Is she's alone in the room?
Yes, alone in the room. She cried throughout the entire concert, and the film is ending. Okay. And this is about this catharsis, the ending point of your research about years and years before. And this is what it was about. And I think it's also related to every, musicians, filmmakers, this depression after something really long has been going.
If I might quickly, Sofia, did you feel like this when you clicked on export?
That's what I wanted to ask you.
In the editing room, that it was like a big part of my life came to closure? Just a quick question, but I thought
just like a quick, light, easy question. Super easy.
We only ask easy questions. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I definitely felt like a sense of levity. There was a really big release. There was a lot of fear as well. I think like in releasing a film like this, the reason why I'm so happy.
Fear of the reaction of the audience or?
What? Yeah, I mean, reaction of the audience, but also I think one of the reasons why I'm so happy to be screening in Critics Week and to have these incredible people dissecting the film in such an elegant and eloquent way is because this film isn't for the market. But there are so many financial implications tied to having a film like this with this kind of runtime. You won't believe by how many distributors who shall remain nameless, I was asked to cut down the concert or make the film shorter so that it could be sold to television networks. So there was a sense of relief, release, completion, because I had such an incredible team that really brought a film that I couldn't have possibly imagined to life. But then there came, I guess this reality about marketability and, completing the budget and how are we going to find a distributor. But I think in that moment, for me, it was just about remembering María and Kathleen and what the whole point of, the film was and is. So, I mean, certainly like a sense of like elation for sure, but then also I guess like the realities of like what the film is, and then I guess people's expectations of how they want it to perform, but what it is as an artistic object, I guess started to seep into my mind. But mostly like on a lighter level, I was really happy and relieved to be getting it out in the world.
Well, something happened that I was like anticipating, fretting, is that I have a strong sense of FOMO, of course, now. Like I'm fear of missing out.
Do you have FOMO
how can
right
I
now?
watch your film is an obvious question.
Do you want me to send you a Vimeo link?
Please. that would be much appreciated. But
Well,
if
maybe
I,
it'll screen again. We'll
will
see.
it?
Maybe.
When and where and how?
Or maybe not. I don't know.
Yes, that's
maybe
why.
never again.
I will not let you run away without the Vimeo link. But if I might, I would like to and also ask you the question if there is a specific scene that you kept in your heart for the film. Yeah, maybe.
Well, I think if you watch the movie on Vimeo, you should watch it on a big screen with
I
a
have a
good
good
sound.
television at least.
Okay.
With my stereo.
Because I watched it at home, and in the theater it was much more impressive. Because it's so beautifully shot. We didn't talk about the cinematography of the movie, but it's very kind of sculptural, with an interest in
Seized the opportunity.
architecture. And it's also a journey of the protagonist. She's not only researching in her little archives, she's also traveling around and visiting different countries and cities. And my favorite scene was the scene where she is in the village, where the violinist lived with her mother in a cottage kind of house. And she is there with a friend. And she is kind of having this nervous breakdown. And after that, in the pub, she's eating with her friend, and her friend confronts her about her weird behavior. And that's the scene where she opens up and something is kind of like opening up. And that's a really great scene. I think the friend is really marvelous.
I loved while you were talking, there was this moment where Barbara kind of had this moment of recollection. Where I said, yeah, this is nice. Thank you. I'm gonna make sure if I have the chance to watch it on a good screen. But maybe quickly before I come to you, visually speaking, because you pointed it out, was it steady shots? Was it a lot of mobile camera? What do you mean by the cinematography was extraordinary?
Well, in my experience, it changed during the film. In the beginning, it was more steady shots and like static, and then as her thoughts began to move around her subject, the images became more moving. And for example, the last city she's visiting is Oslo, and there the camera is walking with her through the streets. And I think the camera didn't do that before, because the city looks much more nice and livable as the other cities that are shown.
Okay, thank you. Barbara, maybe you also have a scene to share with me?
Yes. One scene that really sticks in my mind was Audrey that was close to the end. She was lying next to her mother in the bed. And before it was mentioned that Audrey has the same arms than the mother. And the arms played a role in how do I play the violin. The arms have to be loose. And I think because of the violin playing, the mother's arms had a special gesture, and Audrey found that in her gesture too, and she hated it. But then she was lying in the bed, and it's not clear if the mother is still alive or if she's dead. So yeah, was that I understood it like this, and it's a very
so we see
gentle,
the arms next to each other in like
no,
a
they
close-up?
lie in a bed, and it's a very, very tender moment. And to me, that raised up the huge question. Yeah, if you bury something, what is left of your life? What did the mother did of her life? And when the mother was burned, it was only Audrey in the crematorium, and I was asking myself, where are the other ones? Why is it only Audrey and her? Where's the rest of the family? So
was that moment mirroring the scene that you had described with her alone in the
yes,
the audience, that she was alone at the end?
Yes.
Wow.
And this scene I found very touching. This very tender. She takes the hand of the mother, and then they lie in the bed.
Thank you. Right. I would give the chance, like normally, and we will do that now for a short moment. The audience can ask questions. I cannot answer them. But first, I would like to ask a question to the audience who is remain. What do you think of this format with the ignorant moderator or the blind date, as I called it myself? You can just say good, bad, nah. Yeah? Anyone? Well done. It's okay. Because the Critics Week is an experimental field, we need to, make the impact analysis. Are there any remarks or questions from the audience? Sofia has one, and here Helga has one, I think. Maybe Helga first, because she didn't have the chance yet. It's a little bit hard to see from here.
Thank you. Maybe not a question, but a comment, because beside of work as a head of guest department of Critics Week, I'm also a musician on my first education, so maybe it's a little bit more specific, not question, but comments, and why Nino also need to watch it on a big screen and with a good sound. That's what I was thinking about, because...
Please make it possible for me.
We will do our best with our team. So yeah, and I was thinking always, because I'm a musician, I couldn't hear the concert recording usually, and you usually don't have like a chance to watch it in a cinema hall, And with this film, when the last scene was prepared so well with all the like film from the beginning and with the sound and everything, and I was thinking even in the scene when she's in the library, if we could create, I mean, it's more like a comment or maybe philosophical question, something like this. If it's possible to create a format in general to listen to music like this, because for me, when I'm listening to music, you need to have like really good sound, which I don't have at home. So it's like really different experience to listen it in a live concert. And then we don't have alternative. I mean, for the film, you could watch in the cinema and be like fully immersive. But for the music, maybe I have also specific point of view, but I have a chance to listen to the music like this, beside maybe such rare chances. So thanks a lot for the also beautifully recorded and shot film. And it's more like, I don't know, philosophical question, if we should invent any kind of format to listen to music like this, to have a chance. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the cinema is a big machine to watch films, but I'm thinking of these listening bars that I don't know if you ever went to some of them, like bars that really put a lot of effort in creating like a very good sound environment and to like play records from start to finish. There are a couple in Berlin, and it's this like really dedication to a good acoustic experience, and to also like pay attention. And of course the clubs is something that comes to mind, where people pay a lot of effort in like thinking about space and sound and experience. But thanks. Sofia, I think you also raised your hand, and maybe it's a good thing to give you the last word.
I just wanted to add on to what Barbara was saying about Audrey being the only one at the funeral. And it's actually like a very nerdy edition about Kathleen Parlow's biography, which is that when her mother, Minnie, died, she was the only one that attended her funeral when she was cremated. And she didn't tell anyone until after her mother was cremated. And she had a bouquet of sweet peas in her arms. So we tried to recreate that moment. So we were really trying to, I guess, research a lot of like layers and textures of history. And that's kind of like what that scene represents, as well as the death of Kathleen Parlow's mother, Minnie, because once Minnie passed away, I think Kathleen felt a little lost because she was such an incredible friend and companion. And then I guess I wanted to add too, in the scene when Audrey is in the bed with the mother and she's kind of like in an embrace. I won't kind of fully like spell out what that is, but I guess sometimes in life, we're like in this moment and we feel like we have two choices. We can live one or the other. And I feel like in the film, it's this quantum physics way of kind of being like, why not live both? You know what I mean? So I think Audrey gets to have both realities. She gets to hear Opus 28 and the violin is burned. She gets to finish her thesis and she is with her mother when she passes. And that's as far as I'll take it.
Thank you. Thank you. I think this is the wrap up for the Berlin Critics Week 2025. So a gigantic round of applause for the team of the Critics Week who made this possible. Thank you very much.